What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spot Show podcast. This is a professional wrestling podcast. It is not about professional wrestling. I am one of your hosts, Dickie Wabash, joined, as always, by the one-man boy band, Michael Madrox.
Back from the dead, Dickie.
Back from the dead. Death did the job. Boy, do we have a lot to discuss here. But before that, let me just remind you that this podcast is brought to you by Sewer Layer Toys, BurntBuds.com, and Elite Pro Wrestling. You're going to hear a little bit more about them later, though, because we have some very important topics to cover. First and foremost, I think the most important thing, and this is probably going to be, because there's a few things that, you know, that we really want to discuss with this, and I think most importantly, and this is probably the one that is going to be the lion's share of the podcast, yes, my trip to Canada was fucking awesome. I had a great time.
That's a lie.
Well, we can get into that, but no. In all seriousness, so here's what's weird about it for you guys listening at home, is that for you listening at home, there's really not much of a change because the podcast has still been going business as usual. Episodes have still been coming out, but the future of this thing was really in question because we didn't know if this was going to happen. We didn't know if we were going to be able to be together, not just because of what you were going through, but like the aftermath of what you were going through. Like, were you going to be well enough to even get together to record? First of all, were you even going to be breathing for us to get together and record?
Death can't stop me from flapping my gums.
It absolutely cannot. Death cannot stop us. Death did the job. We talked about it. Look, enough beating around the bush here, guys, because let's just get right into it. I'm kind of taking the back seat on this one, and I'm letting the brother just go. Like, let's, lead me there, brother. Tell me where we're starting and tell me where we're going to finish this thing off.
I have no idea even how to start this. Like, you've been there through everything. You even cried on your way home from Canada.
Yeah. So I talked a little bit about it on the update that I posted. When all of this was going on, I'm literally on my way back from my vacation, and I was 2 hours away from home. And I got the text message, and I have said this, that text message is going to stay private because it was very meaningful. There was something you said in that text message that is what broke me specifically, which we've talked about. There was one specific thing. I mean, there was one thing in it that was kind of funny, but then there was another but again, it's staying kayfabe because I'm going to hold that text very important to me. So
you'll delete it in a week.
Well, I mean, the text is probably not even the matter of the text being gone, but the memory of what exactly the text said is always going to be
You're
there.
going to print it off and frame it?
I put it in the MadBash studio, which
we should. But I think the thing that the situation that we're in now is definitely not ideal. We're not going to disclose where we are, obviously. From an undisclosed location.
But we're not in the studio, and we don't really know when we're going to be back in the studio to record, so we're kind of just rolling with the punches here. Not to sound unsensitive with this, but to quote my dad, ain't no step for a stepper. We'll get it all figured out, which...
Yeah, I ain't stepping no time soon.
Yeah, you're not stepping anytime soon. So let's just go from there, man. Let's start from when this all started to because here's the thing. I don't know what you really feel comfortable bringing up. I don't know what you feel, which I know I'm
an open book.
You're an open book, absolutely. And
I say this is running as interview style because I don't know where to start. Like, do I start from the beginning? Like,
I say you just start from the very beginning. Like, let's start because obviously all these problems were on your left leg this time?
Yeah.
So let's start with the right leg, like how that all started, and then I think that lays a good foundation for what exactly you went through with your leg now.
All right, well, starting with the right leg, 2019, I developed a bone infection and spent 37 weeks on antibiotics infusion therapy, and they thought they had that under wrap.
And
so then what? Sorry for interrupting here. What caused that?
That time they said that my foot was broken at some point. Go me, hard-headed, stupid, pain retarded person. But apparently the bone overgrew ligament and tendon in my foot and killed it off, which turned it to gas gangrene in the bone. So they ended up doing a few procedures. I had my Achilles tendon removed. They told me I'd never walk again. So at this time also, they told me that I had 2 weeks to live because they thought the infection was so strong and was going to kill me. But they told me that in front of my kids, and I was like,
Could have been a better way to do that.
Could have been, but nonetheless, you tell me I can't, and I'll show you I can.
And that's always, I think that's going to be the running theme that you're going to be seeing with this is basically everything that you've gone through and everything that you've done. That's absolutely been your MO is fucking try me. I'm going to do it.
I'm unstoppable.
In a way, to bring a little bit of levity to this and kind of take the seriousness out of it, that's kind of the whole thing with MadBash. Is that tell us that we can't and we will. And I mean, it's worked out for us so far. But so anyway, I think that, we've talked about this. There was a time in our lives where there was no problem. It was just that we weren't in contact with each other. All this happened while you and I weren't on a regular basis contact. So then
when Dickie fell in love and ran away.
Is pretty much. So I'm just hearing all of this stuff secondhand. And I'm like, oh my God, is Madrox like dying? Which, yeah, you were for all intents and purposes.
Yeah.
But spoiler alert, you didn't die.
Nope.
That time or this time either. But so then now that we know the initial things, let's go into now. What was it that is the reason all this happened?
You came to my son's birthday party.
Yep.
I just wasn't feeling right.
Yeah.
I was in a lot of pain for some reason. I was like, this is weird. I even told you that day, I was like, I don't feel right.
Yeah, and for you to admit that you don't feel well, that's odd.
This was the Friday before I went to the hospital the following Monday.
No, you waited a week
later. Yeah.
You waited a week, which, hindsight being what it is, probably was not a good idea.
It was still quick enough, though.
Yeah.
But I just started getting like fevers and cold sweats, and I was like, I think my infection's back. And I was like, something does not feel right.
And you told me this, and I'm like, you're probably you're stressed because.
That's what we thought it was. We thought it was just stress.
Because you were also going through a very stressful time at that point.
Yeah,
we're not going to get into the weeds on that, but there was just some stuff going on.
That's some big weeds.
That's some huge ones. So, there was some stuff going on in your personal life that I was like, brother, you're just stressed out. You're fine. You're fine. And you're like, Dickie, I've been through that. I know what this is. And then me trying to be
Mr. Positive.
Let's have a good outlook on this. Let's not always assume the worst. Positive outlook, Dickie. I was
it's
like,
all your fault.
You're fine. Yeah, it is. It's like, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. And then, well, you were not fine.
Yeah, I got a fever of like 106 something the Friday before I went in, and I was like, I need to go to the hospital. That same Friday, I just noticed I had a small blister on the bottom of my foot, and I was like, ugh. That's not a good sign.
Now, another thing that I think people need to understand with this too is that you have sugar issues as well.
Yeah, I'm a type 2 diabetic.
You're a type 2 diabetic, which
doesn't help.
Is definitely, I think that
I take longer to heal.
Like I was once very good friends with someone who was type 1 diabetic, and he had like a scrape on his shin for like months.
Yeah.
So I think that it goes without saying, and it's kind of an obvious thing, that diabetics in their extremities don't heal as quickly as others. So especially with the thing that you've been through, like even a little blister is cause for concern.
Yeah, absolutely. Protein is the best thing for us diabetics when we're healing. But that Friday I noticed a blister. I was like, fucking WrestleMania is this weekend. I'm not missing WrestleMania before I go to the hospital. I mean, come on now, it's WrestleMania. Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns.
This is the only WrestleMania I've ever missed because I was in Canada, and I've not missed a WrestleMania live since 18. So I had a very good streak there. So I was like, I'm missing WrestleMania. My brother's going through this. It was just a rough week. Let's just make this about me. No, I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna let you get back into.
But common sense here. Do you go to the hospital that Friday, or do you wait 2 days and watch WrestleMania? I went logical. I was like, fuck it. If I'm going to the hospital, I know I'm going to be there for a while, because when I go to the hospital, it's not over nothing. It's always something serious, and I'm admitted. So I was like, I'm at least going to watch WrestleMania before I go.
Have your last little send off.
My last little hoorah, if you would. And then that Sunday, dude, I woke up and I had excruciating pain in my foot. And I took my sock off and I had a blister that wrapped around all my toes. It looked like a pus sack. And it popped. And I was like, yeah, I'm going to the hospital.
Let's also, real quick, let me say this too. If you guys are squeamish, I probably should have dropped that warning a little bit sooner than 11 minutes into the podcast. If you guys are squeamish, you're going to probably maybe skip this one, because there's going to be...
You should just put a viewer discretion advised at the beginning.
Probably, yeah. We're going to get into some details here.
And then that Monday morning, I went to the hospital. And I stayed in the emergency room from 10 a.m. until almost 6. And they couldn't figure out what was going on. And my nurse comes in and she's like, we're going to get you something for pain. And we're going to let you order some dinner because you've been here all day. And we could tell you're hungry and crabby. Which, I mean, I'm a big guy. Yes, I need my fucking food. And then as soon as she finished that sentence, I got so happy. I just saw Santa Claus. And then the beard fell off as the surgeon runs in the room and he's like, hey, we got under 2 hours to get you in surgery. Come to find out, I had a sodium buildup in my body inside my foot. It was producing too much sodium, and there was I don't know if they were rock buildups or formations in my foot or something. But he's like, we got under 2 hours to get you in there. You're going to die. And they didn't even know if they could get an operating room at this time. That's when I shot you the text. That broke your heart. And they
I can't, and sorry, but I'm going to keep
cutting
jumping
me
in
off
here. I cannot even begin to imagine what it is like for someone to walk in and be like, you're dying right now.
It's not the first time.
Well, I understand, but regardless, that's gotta fuck you up, right?
It's a slap in the face.
Yeah, I don't know how it couldn't.
I didn't cry or anything, but I sent my messages out. I sent you one, I sent Travis one, and I sent Jeff one.
Yeah. And then don't think you also got a hold of your children first.
Yes,
too.
I called my kids first.
Yeah. Yeah. Don't think that it was just
boy wise, I made sure my boys, all of you guys, my kids, even though Travis and Jeff are older than me, I consider you all my kids. But yeah, dude, it's a big slap in the face. I don't care. No one's ready for that feeling to hear that sentence, and it just comes out of nowhere, dude.
I can't imagine. I again, knock wood, I've never been in a dire medical situation or anything like that. Every death that I have had to deal with in my life has always been sudden.
Yeah, not long out.
Yeah, and I think, well, not every death, but let's say the majority, because there have been a few that have been drug out, but let's say the ones that really got me. I almost feel, for me personally, as the person that has to deal with the person going through what they're dealing with.
That's how I am. I'm the rock.
Yeah. You don't want to see them suffer, obviously. You want it to be a quick. So,
yeah.
See,
in my family, it's all different for me because it's always long and drawn out.
I was going to, do we want to go there?
That's fine. We can go anywhere, bro.
So, your brother, Jimmy.
Yeah.
Your brother, Jimmy, who was my best friend growing up. And
almost 2 years of suffering.
2 years of suffering with cancer. And then not to mention what your mother went through. And then what your uncle went through just recently.
Yeah.
And
Countless other people in my family from cancer as well.
yeah, but those are just the big three that come to mind. There have been multiple things. So for you, is there this weird thing where it's like, and I feel like I already know the answer to this question because I just know you as a human being. Is there that thing in your head of like, oh great, my family is about to go through another thing and it's because of me?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, Dolly was in the room with me when they told me.
Which is your aunt.
Which is my aunt.
Yeah.
And she just broke down instantly. Like, it's always something.
It seems like it. Yeah.
But anyway, they successfully performed the first surgery. They went in and cut out the deposits they needed to. And then, of course, admitted me. Started me on more IV infusions through a PICC line. Which, for those of you that don't know, is an IV that goes through your main artery into your heart. So the medicine gets dispersed instantly. And then 2 days later, I started getting a fever again. And they came in and checked my wound. And it was nothing but pus. Which, for those you know, you don't want to see pus in any kind of wound.
No, especially if it's yellowish. And
come to find out, when they went in and did the removal of the sodium deposits in tissue, it started a bone infection.
We've been here before.
Been here before, done all that. So I'm like, cut it off. They're like, no, we could save your foot. I'm like, fuck that. Cut it off.
Yeah, you wanted them to just say fuck it and take the whole leg.
I did, because like I'm used to that.
Yeah.
Like from previous experience, I know that's at least 4 days in the hospital and I'm home. And they're like, no, we're going to save your foot. We're going to save your foot. So they went back in and removed more tissue and bone. Then I was good for about 3 days in the hospital. And they hooked me up to a wound vac after that surgery, which I have a portable one on me now.
Still on, yes.
And my wound vac just instantly filled. Like, it's a big tank. It's like a 100cc unit tank, and it filled overnight. So the surgeon got called back in, and he comes in my room and looks at it, and he's like, we need you in surgery again. Third surgery in a week's time.
Is this the one where I had just happened to walk in the room?
Yeah, right? yeah.
No, wait a minute. No, I don't think it was. I think that your last surgery.
That was my third.
That was your third?
Yep.
Okay, so you jumped ahead a little bit.
Did I skip the second?
I think you skipped the second a little bit.
Oh, okay.
No, because no. You had a fourth surgery where they did the stretching of the muscle.
No, that was the third.
That was the third?
Yep.
So then you're getting your surgeries confused.
Okay. Well, second surgery.
This is your second.
Second surgery, the bone infection. They went in and cut out the bone. And yeah, we talked about that.
I don't know, dude. The last month has been a fucking...
It's been crazy. But the third surgery, they went in and removed the dead tissue. And they had to make more tissue to fill my foot. So they did skin grafts on the top of my foot to shove inside my foot. And they cut the muscle that they could out of my foot. And the surgeon said that he basically beat it like he was tenderizing a chicken patty with a giant hammer to flatten it out and everything. And they sewed that back inside my foot in different spots to make up for the tissue. And then, yeah, that pretty much sums up that surgery.
I mean, to say that you went through the ringer is understatement of the century. I feel like, because... like, I don't even know. Like, there's just so much to unpack with it. Like, first of all, you were in the hospital for 3 weeks.
25 days total.
So 3.5 weeks.
Yeah.
Roughly. And just the monotony of being in that hospital room and there's nothing really to do, and you're just kind of sitting there
stuck in purgatory
waiting for the next surgery that you suspect, because the entire time you're telling me, I don't know why we're wasting our time with this. They should just take it.
Just cut it.
Now, I also told you, I said, listen, if there was not even, because I even asked the doctor, I said, if there was even a chance that this wouldn't work, would you even be doing this? And I know that kind of goes without saying. And he's like, I'm saving this foot, is what he told me.
Which brings us up to speed now because I got that dead tissue in the bottom of my foot. My doctor is on vacation.
But the dead tissue doesn't necessarily mean bad.
It does, but it doesn't.
It does, but it does. That doesn't mean you're losing.
We're just waiting and seeing
just
again.
wait. It's a wait and see, and that's what this whole thing has been for you.
But I'm also happy because he said after the third surgery that's his last one he's attempting.
So then by that means that he would just
chop it off and I'd be
Okay.
good to go.
Yeah.
Throw some super glue on that bitch. Let's get to the show.
But I mean, with that being said, like, how do you feel about the wait and see that's been going on? Are you happy with it? Are you not happy?
Like, I'm happy that, like, I do have somewhat of a foot left. But at the same time, I'm like, why keep putting me through this torture? Because after that third surgery, they couldn't get me to wake up. You were there. I
Yeah.
don't know how long I was in damn recovery.
You were in there for a while.
I woke up to them getting ready to incubate me.
Yeah.
Like, because my oxygen was so low, my pulse was so low, like, they didn't know what the hell was going on with me.
Yeah. Yeah, it was weird because that final surgery, there was just something in the back of my head that I was like, I didn't go see Madrox yesterday. I'll go up there this morning, just drop by for a quick little, hey, how's it going? And as soon as I walk in, they walk in and they're like, because you were scheduled for surgery later in the day.
Yeah,
Is
early
why
afternoon.
here's why, because I wanted to swing by in the morning because I knew I wouldn't be able to in the afternoon. So I just wanted to say, hey, how's it going? Vibes, all that bullshit. And then literally as I walk in, they're like,
He didn't even make it past my bed.
no, I didn't even make it 1 foot in the door. And they were right behind me. And they're like, okay, are you ready? And you're like, we weren't doing this until later. Like, well, we got an OR that is open, so let's go.
It was a shock, too. Because you get your mind, like, mentally prepared for that time frame and everything.
Yeah, where you're just sitting there and you're dreading, which, I mean...
I have anxiety problems.
Yeah.
So, like, once I know I'm having surgery, I'm like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
And, like, I knew that going through 2 major surgeries already in a week's time is not good on my body.
No, I mean...
Because I don't handle anesthesiology, or whatever it's called, anesthesia,
Yeah.
very well at all. My body does not handle it very well. Like, they give it to me, and I'm sitting there fighting it for, like, 30 minutes before I finally go under.
Well, because I've seen you take these huge swigs of NyQuil to try to go to sleep, and it doesn't do anything to you.
No.
Meanwhile, you give me a tablespoon of NyQuil, and I'm zonked.
My body's weird.
It's very
That
weird.
stems from me having insomnia as a kid. Like, they put me on all kinds of different sleeping pills, and my body just got immune to them and everything. But it's crazy. Like, the anesthesiologist was, like, screaming at me to just go to sleep on that third surgery.
Yeah. So, I mean, we basically gave you the recap of what's been going on, and now we're going to hit some more broad strokes. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is powered by Sewer Layer Toys, located at 3197 South 3rd Place in Terre Haute, Indiana. Guys, let me tell you one thing about Sewer Layer Toys, right? You're going to walk in, you're going to see a bunch of stuff that you want to buy, and you're going to be thinking to yourself, man, do I really want to buy this? Do I really need this stuff? Well, yeah, you do. You're going to walk in there, you're going to see a plethora, an endless amount of vintage toys, of retro toys, of modern toys, of that toy that maybe you had as a kid and you vaguely remember it. You're going to see it there, very fairly priced. Listen, I go in there and I love it. I get most of my collectibles there. Same goes for Madrox. We love these guys. Go in there, tell them the Spot Show podcast sent you, just so that I can prove to Scott that people are actually listening to us and that we are actually worth tying our name to them. I'm joking, of course. Listen, Scott and Andrew are 2 great guys. They run a really, really good store located in Terre Haute. Again, if you go to 3197 South 3rd Place That is behind the mall in Terre Haute, Indiana. Go in there to Sewer Layer Toys. You are going to find some really, really good stuff. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling. Listen, I'm going to tell you one thing about Elite Pro Wrestling right now, right? I'm going to get a little bit personal about it for a minute, right? Elite Pro Wrestling made me love pro wrestling again. They put on an incredible product. If you want to see what Elite Pro Wrestling has going on, you can go to facebook.com/EPW Elite. There you are going to find a list of upcoming shows. You're going to find videos from past shows. You are going to find everything that you need to know about Elite Pro Wrestling. If you are in the area of Odin, Indiana, or sometimes Washington, Indiana, then you are going to want to check out Elite Pro Wrestling. Some of the best pro wrestling in the state of Indiana, and I truly, truly mean that. So again, go to facebook.com/EPW Elite for everything that you need to know about Elite Pro Wrestling. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by BurntBuds.com. You can check out Burnt Buds for all your cannabis-inspired clothing, jewelry, and accessories, and guess what? You can know that you're doing good. Burnt Buds has non-binary sizing up to 4XL, and here's the best part of all, 1% of all Burnt Buds profit goes to charities such as the Last Prisoner Project and the Trevor Project. Cannabis not your thing? Well, I got good news for you. Burnt Buds also has a variety of humor, Rasta, and LGBTQ plus themed clothing and jewelry. But I'm going to sweeten the deal here a little bit for you. If you go on over to burntbuds.com and use our promo code SPOTSHOW10, you are going to get 10% off your entire purchase. Again, that is Spot Show, the number 10, for 10% off your purchase at burntbuds.com. That is BURNTBUDZ.com. You can also check them out on Facebook at Burnt Buds. Check them out on Instagram at burnt_buds. Again, go to burntbuds.com, promo code SPOTSHOW10 for 10% off your entire purchase. So, I already know the answer to this question in a way, but I'm going to ask it because you flat out told me, you said, I want to bear all on this podcast because
Absolutely.
I just want to. And, the reason I know the answer to this is because we've already had this conversation to a degree, but I also know you, and I know that while you're also very much an open book, you also downplay a lot of things because at the end of the day, we talked about it at the beginning where you were like, oh, I'm the reason that my family is now going through another traumatic thing. You put people before you.
Absolutely.
All the time.
100%.
And your main concern, and this just goes to tell you the type of person that you are. I mean, obviously, what would my kids do without a father, blah, 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 blah. But one of your big concerns was, I don't want to ruin Dickie's vacation.
That was one of my concerns.
So
Because when I was in the hospital for the first day, I wrote you to tell you I was in the hospital, and I was like, I'll just tell you when you get back, because you were only, a day away from coming home?
Yeah, well, that Monday that you were in the hospital, that you first were admitted, is the day that I left. And the plan was to drive from Toronto to my buddy's house, and then his house is 3 hours away from mine. So I was going to just spend the night with him, after 12 hours in a car. Last thing I wanted to do was more driving. But then I find out you're in the hospital, and I'm like, no, I'd have to go. And then I didn't even go home. I started my day in Toronto, Canada woke up at 7:30, 8 o'clock. And my night ended pulling into my driveway at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning because I came straight to the hospital.
Yeah.
But anyway, we got off on a little tangent
Like a brother,
there.
brother.
Yeah, I definitely brothered you big time. I think that this is going to be very, to get in the weeds a little bit here. I think what I'm about to ask you is probably going to be very cathartic for you because I'm kind of putting you on Front Street and making you address some things that you probably don't want to talk about.
Oh,
but
crap. Tell all.
Tell me about your mental state, man, because like I said at the beginning of this, like, you feel like you're letting people down in a weird way. You feel like that you're ruining people's day because meanwhile, I have not necessarily self-esteem issues, but I suffer some of the same things of where like I feel like maybe I'm going to be letting people down by some of my actions, but I'm not dying because of it. I'm not dying and saying, "Oh, I'm letting people down because I'm dying."
That's a character trait I inherited from my little brother, if you can't tell.
Oh, absolutely. Jimmy he didn't want to let people down. But man, let's therapy session this up, brother. Like what has this whole thing done for your mental well-being? Like I know that you're okay, but I know you're not okay at the same time. So,
well, you know me, like I'm always the rock for the situations and like I'm the one that's normally there for people, so I bottle everything up like physically and emotionally. And
which is not healthy.
It's not healthy, but it's all I've known my whole life.
Yeah.
And, dude, my fucking mental health is fucked. Like, the anxiety, the depression, it has been a roller coaster of bullshit.
Yeah.
To sum it up, like, I'm going to say some shit here that might upset some people, but before the third surgery, like, they asked me if I had a will because using the anesthesia so close together, it's obviously a problem for your heart. And I'm not gonna lie, dude, I sat up at 3 o'clock in the morning in the hospital crying, writing a will out, and I sent it to two of my baby moms just so multiple people would have it and my final wishes could be explained.
Now see, this is news to me. I didn't even know that. You didn't even tell me that.
Yep, I got it if you want to read it.
I don't know if I could.
I think we should read it on the podcast.
No. We'll keep that one kayfabe.
But that is a feeling that like I wouldn't wish upon my enemies.
To be faced with your own mortality again, like I can't.
And
even...
it's not like I'm not afraid to die. I'm not. Like death fascinates me. I'm excited to see what's on the other side. But I'm also weird. Like when I die, I don't want to be under anesthesia. Like I want to know I'm dying. I want to feel it. You only get to experience it once. I want to enjoy it basically, which is weird.
I get what you mean in a way.
Like I want to know I'm dying, not just go in my sleep.
Oh, hey, here I am.
Yeah, like peekaboo. But that feeling is so weird, dude. Like the worst part about it, like the biggest fear is like picturing my kids around my casket. Like what's that going to do for them? You know what I mean? Like I was 20 years old when my mom died. And I still have like nightmares and shit about that from the PTSD and shit. Because for those of you who don't know, I actually got to hold and watch my mom and my brother die in my arms. I watched my brother drown from the inside from water fluid around his lungs. And then I just watched my mom's body just shut down from the chemo and everything else. So like,
so you don't want to put someone through that because you know what it can do.
Absolutely, and I don't want my kids to experience that. I don't want my kids to ever have to be like, okay, because they're so young. Like that's gonna fuck them up for life.
Your oldest is 16?
No, my oldest is 13.
No, wait a minute.
Yeah,
he's only 13.
Freshman in high school, sir.
Oh my god, I thought he was older than that.
No,
wow.
See, like. It's so crazy.
That would make sense because you had him when we were okay. I'm sorry.
Yep.
I'm a dumbass.
Like, damn, I would have been like a freshman in high school when I had him then.
Yeah, but you were a senior. Anyway,
but like with everything going on in my personal life too, it didn't help matters. But yet again, tall weeds. And I don't know, dude. It's just a weird feeling. Like I'm not concerned with dying. I'm concerned about the people that are going to be at my funeral, the people I'm going to hurt, the people I'm going to leave behind.
I think that's normal. I think that's very normal. I think that, there's always been this this weird thing in pop culture and in our society where it's like, oh, they died peacefully in their bed surrounded by their loved ones. And within the last 6 months, you and I have been in that situation
Yes.
where we were in the room with someone while they were surrounded by their loved ones.
It wasn't peaceful
And
at
it
all.
is not, it's not, I don't want that. I don't want that for my family.
No.
My grandma died. And I know that you just said that you personally don't want this for you, but my grandma died, and it's a weird catch-22 because she died, she fell asleep and didn't wake up. She was in the hospital for I'm not going to remember what she was in the hospital for, but she was in there regardless. It was 12 years ago at this point. And the nurse came in to check on her that morning, and she was gone. And to this day, we didn't do a check to see what could have killed her or whatever. So
the autopsy.
the autopsy, the big, what am I saying here? The leading theory was a blood clot. But I mean, in a way, that's kind of the way that ideally you would want to go. But at the same time, I think about it, she was in a hospital room all by herself with no one. So death is never fun.
And, you don't know
easy.
if she woke up during that time or anything
and was scared or whatever, and
trying to call for help. You don't know.
And you don't, and that's what worried me about you is being up there at night alone and you saying, no, I prefer to be alone. And it's like, motherfucker, it doesn't matter what you prefer. You don't need to be alone right now. That is why, again, we're not going to talk about where you are or how you are, but the current situation you're in now, it's not ideal, but it's ideal for the given situation for you. And I'm sure that it's helping with your mental health, with your anxiety, depression, and all that stuff, because I suffer from depression as well. Considering what you have been through, I feel like a selfish prick talking about the stuff that made me with my depression I've been fighting over the last few months, because it's small.
Look,
bananas.
dude, it's different stories, but guess what? Depression is depression.
Depression is depression is depression, and that's what I've always said.
And I can't stand people like, oh, depression ain't real. It's just your mind playing trick. No, motherfuckers. Get in my brain for a day. See what the fuck goes on.
People that say, well, I ain't ever been depressed, I just want to look at them and say, good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good for you, because
we should have a fucking party for you.
Depression is fucking awful.
I'm sorry for the language on this episode, but like Dickie said, this is a tell-all and it's therapeutic for me.
We're just doing this, It's just the way it is. I mean, we never pull any punches when we do this, and I think that this is the best place to not pull any punches, specifically with the subject matter at hand,
Yeah. But let's talk about real depression here.
Oh,
something
no.
I was really depressed about too. To make this episode a little bit more lighter.
I know what he's gonna bring up, and it's like, Jesus Christ.
We went to WrestleMania.
I know. Okay, so here's the thing. We had a really good April Fool's joke planned that was going to be fucking epic.
Yeah.
It was going to be hilarious. We were going to start talking about on social media, which we did to a certain degree.
One post.
We were going to start talking about on the podcast how we were going to be going to WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And we even talked about it. We were like, MadBash is going Hollywood and da-da-da-da-da. We're going to WrestleMania. So the joke was going to be that Michael Madrox tells Dickie Wabash, hey, I want to go to WrestleMania. And Dickie Wabash says, okay. But the problem is Michael Madrox didn't specify which WrestleMania he wanted to go to.
Stupid travel agent.
So we end up at WrestleMania 3 instead of WrestleMania 39.
All I wanted was Brock versus Omos.
And we green screened ourselves in front of the Pontiac Silverdome. And we made this video where
we started making the video.
We started making the video. The video didn't get finished. Because then all this stuff came up with Madrox. We weren't able to finish it. But someday soon, we're going to release what we have.
It's got to drop Thursday when this podcast drops, so they can listen to the podcast of us explaining it and then go watch it.
Okay, we'll do that. The podcast drops at midnight. Sometime in the evening, we'll post the video of...
you can time that, too, for midnight as well.
If I wanted to, we'll figure that out. But... the video was so fucking funny.
Just what we shot. We had a lot more to shoot.
Yeah, and so the last night in Canada, I went to a Maple Leafs game, and I filmed a video of... this should have been the first sign that things were not going great. Well, the first sign was you being sick. Second sign is I'm filming this video walking out of the stadium with all these Maple Leafs fans around me. And I'm like, hey guys, WrestleMania just got out. Da-da-da-da. I can't seem to find Madrox. I don't know where he went. But as you can see, and then like I show the camera and you see all these Leafs fans. And the joke was that we just left WrestleMania. And then we were going to splice all that together and shit. But dude, it was going to be so funny.
See, like we didn't know when I was getting out of the hospital and I was ready to film this.
Yeah. Yeah. And...
I'm still ready to finish it.
But anyway, the video corrupted, and there's no audio to the video of me walking outside of Scotia Bank, and it's a bummer, man. So I was like, fuck, dude, like, we have to figure something else
Dickie
out.
actually wanted to scrap everything, and I was like, no, they need to see what we filmed so far.
It's not necessarily that I wanted to scrap everything. It was just like... let's just not even talk about it. Because it's a bummer. It didn't work out. It would have been fucking hilarious.
But the footage we got
is really
amazing.
funny. It's like, I'm not even going to say what the footage is because it's
we gotta
very
keep it
funny.
for him.
Yeah, you just got to see it. Aaron Atlas actually proposed one of the ideas that we ended up going with, and I'm going to thank him for that the next time I see him. But yeah. Dude, it's been such a roller coaster of a month. And like for you guys, it's not really been much of a difference because
we pre-record podcasts at a time. So
exactly.
Everything just keeps flowing and flowing for you guys. But for us personally, it's been a long month.
Yeah. More you than me, obviously, because I've had to be the one. You know, you talk about being the rock for everyone. It's like, I'm not used to having to be the rock. So it was very rough for me to have to, especially...
Can we just say how rough it was listening to you cry on the update podcast?
I'm lucky that
like you broke, and I could tell it in your voice, and you can't deny it.
We're lucky that we haven't cried here. There have been a couple of times that it's almost hit me, and I've seen it's almost hit you too. You fought it.
I'm a good fighter.
But, no, man, like, I'm not used to being... the rock, so it was really hard for me to have to be. And another thing too, and like I even told Travis this, like I just want to slow choke you because like I'm trying to be positive about this, but you just have such a negative disposition on life.
Well, dude, we didn't even cover the little side quest I had in the hospital.
The little, what one?
The skin cancer threat.
Oh yeah,
the blood clots in my foot,
which is true.
Like death threw every fucking thing at me in the kitchen sink, and guess what? Fucking failed.
Yeah.
I'm like Highlander.
Yeah, exactly.
But like in all seriousness though, like I know I'm gonna die by something stupid. I'm gonna catch like a splinter and die.
Well, let's talk about what started this infection to begin with. It was strep throat.
Strep throat.
In your foot.
In my foot. Like who the fuck gets strep throat in their foot?
It is a thing.
It's supposed to be more common than catching it in your throat.
That's what, because I was like, what the fuck? It's not that I didn't believe you when you told me.
I didn't believe the doctor when he told me.
But it was just one of those things of like, no fucking way. And then I was talking to someone who's been in the medical field most of her life, and then she was like, oh no, that's a thing.
Yes. Did you know strep throat is more common to catch in your lungs and in your foot than it is your throat?
I mean,
they didn't teach me that shit in health class.
No, it's just always strep throat. And then also I was in my mid-20s when I realized that it was not called strep throat. Strept throat?
Yeah.
I always thought it was strep throat.
Do you know extra that T on the end?
Either ED or T, and I never really wrote it out. Do you know that there is a word that I cannot say, and I have done a very good job of not saying it on the podcast yet?
What word's that?
We'll get there when we get there.
No, we got to go right now.
So, you know that brand of TV dinner that is...
Swanson?
No, that it begins with a B.
Banquet?
Banquet.
Banquet?
I can't say banquet.
So who's going to have me a banquet?
I mean, if we have to throw you a banquet, then it's going to have to be me. This isn't a bit. I swear to God, I cannot say the word banquet. I genuinely cannot. People think I'm fucking with them. No,
I think you're fucking with me.
I'm
right
not,
now.
dude. I swear
The king
to you.
of fucking talking bullshit.
Dude,
can't say banquet.
I can't say banquet. I swear. I cannot say banquet.
That's all right. My Aunt Peggy, who died also from cancer.
Oh, yeah.
She couldn't say Rottweiler, Lawler, like Jerry the King.
Yeah.
She couldn't say aluminum. She can't say
aluminium.
Wash.
Warsh. Is that a Midwest thing, or is that
Warshwag?
Where people say warsh?
I think it's like an inbred thing.
I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
Who's to say?
Like, we all had speech class in elementary school. Come on now.
You know, another thing, I don't know why I said another thing, but yeah, that's the thing, is that people think I'm fucking, I genuinely cannot say the word banquet. That's how I say it. And then people have like, okay, say bay, and I go bay, say quit, banquet.
You almost had it.
No, I didn't have it. Believe me when I tell you, because I try to say banquet, but I can't say banquet. I cannot do it.
People say I have problems.
What was it I made a status about? Oh, on Facebook, I said, people talk about how good my podcast and how good my commentary is, but meanwhile, I sound like a clogged drain as I stumble and mumble my way through pop culture quotes.
Yeah, and you liked my response.
What did you say? I don't remember.
At least you're telling facts.
At least I'm telling. Yeah, at least I'm being honest with myself that I'm not good at what I do. Do you ever... So here's a good question. I think that, and not to like stroke our own egos, because you obviously had other motives, obviously children, family, blah, blah, blah. How much of MadBash motivated you to kick this thing's ass? To be on, like, I know that sounds self-gratifying, but it's a legitimate question because we've put a lot into MadBash.
I mean, if we're going to be honest, who tried to convince you to bring the podcast studio up to
yeah,
my
you wanted
room?
me to come record the podcast in the hospital.
Yeah, I wanted to. Like, I was ready to work this whole damn time. Like, we got other projects we're involved in that we're going to keep kayfabe.
Yep.
And, like, I've been firing on all cylinders in those.
Yeah.
I got booked for a fucking wrestling show while laying in a hospital bed, Dickie.
Yep.
Like, there's no slowing me down.
There really isn't.
There really isn't. Like,
and when said booking came up, they contacted me first, and they were like, is Madrox going to be ready? And I said, I don't know. And then I messaged you, and you were like, fuck yes, I'm going to be ready. Come on, let's do it. And then, like, we had an EPW booking literally the first week that you were in the hospital. You still wanted to try to make that booking.
Yeah, I wanted to do anything. I wanted to do commentary over Facebook video if I could have.
Yeah, there seriously was a small conversation where I was like, could we Zoom him in?
Yeah.
Could we do it? But and then you can go see it on the most recent EPW Rise. It's during the Odyssey of the Elite Championship match. You texted me
just
commentary,
randomly
doing commentary.
15,000 hanging from the rafters.
And I look over at, like, after the match, I look at Colby and I'm like, dude, that's awesome that he did that. And then, like, I'm backstage, I'm talking to other people, and I'm like, guys, Madrox texted me, and they're like, did you read it? I said, fuck yes, I did. It was awesome.
Everyone's like, oh, shit, you're crippled, you're disabled. Fuck that shit. Like, you choose to give up on life. I'm not giving up on life. Like, yeah. I'm not giving up my goals. I'm not giving up anything. Like, the goal right now is 2 weeks I go back to the surgeon, check everything out. If everything's fine, I go in for surgery number 4. Which is
skin grafts, correct?
Yeah, skin grafts. And they're either going to take it from my thigh or my ass, depending on which skin's got more oxygen. But I hope to God it's not my ass.
Yeah.
Like, because that's going on the bottom of my foot. Could you imagine me stepping on my own ass every day? But after that, like, I've been out for almost a week now. They told me once the skin graft's done, like, I'm able to start walking once it sets. Like, so I'm ready to fucking go.
Yeah. You were ready to go. Like I said, you didn't even want to stop. I mean, you were wanting to work through all of it. And I almost did bring podcast equipment up to the hospital, but knock wood, you got out of the hospital in a timely manner. But I called Travis and I was like, hey, I know that we just had you on for 2 in a row, but if Madrox is not ready, can you come fill in for him until he's ready? And he's like, yeah, just give me a call. And then I had plan B all the way through Z of like who I could get a hold of to be like, hey, because
you know damn well Travis would do it. Jeff would have done it.
Yeah.
Like, I even think Maverick would have drove up just to do it.
Yeah, he would have. We got to get him on here. We say it all the time, but I know you're going to hear this, Maverick. We are going to get you on this podcast one day. I promise.
Jeff the Ref too.
Jeff the Ref has got to be on here.
Hey, buddy, it's Jeff the Ref here.
Hey, Jeff the Ref here, bud. Let me tell you one thing about that. So I think another topic that I kind of wanted to bring up with this, and I think it's very important, and it's weird how this all ties in because I'm reading a book about this currently, and it's a very good book. I know you're not a reader, but it would be one I would try to get you to read because it's a really good one. Let's talk about levity with a situation. Let's talk about not making everything so humdrum. Let's talk about this whole everything is sacred mentality of where you can't joke about that. And that's literally the name of the book. It's written by Kat Timpf. It's called You Can't Joke About That. And her whole stance in the book is, listen, laughter and all of that has gotten me through some very rough patches in my life. And, you know, I think at one point you told me, you said, I lost my mom, not my sense of humor.
Yeah.
And I think that that's very important. How important has levity and comedy and laughing and...
It's the number one medicine, man.
It's got to be.
There's nothing better than sitting around with your friends and just cracking jokes.
Like we were over here the other night. It was me, you, and Travis. Yeah. Always. We talk about this. And
just having a brother session.
Just brothering it up. Like it was basically the podcast that we did with him without microphones. And like you even told me
you were basically a company meeting at the end.
Yeah, it turned into a MadBash meeting. But you even told me, you were like, you have no idea what that did for me.
Yeah.
Like it really helped you get through.
Shot my adrenaline up and everything else.
Yeah. Yeah. So I knew that would be your answer again, is that I think you and I are both very big proponents of, I hate this fucking everything is sacred mentality. I hate that you're not allowed to bring levity. I hate that you're not allowed to joke, laugh, ha. Bullshit, dude. Like, she even talks about in the book, there's been studies that prove that laughing helps.
Absolutely. Like, I'm in a wheelchair right now, so you know what the hardest part of eating a vegetable is?
The wheelchair.
Exactly. Like, if you can't crack jokes and make fun of yourself and your situation, like, you're doing it all wrong. Like, I'm not going to be the person to give up and just lay around and fucking be miserable and die. Like, I've been granted, like, I beat death when I was 7 over leukemia. Beat it again with the first bone infection. Beat it again through the first amputation. And then now, like, I've had every fucking thing thrown at me. Like I said, fucking blood clots, infections, skin cancer, every fucking thing. Death cannot stop me. Like,
no.
So why should I stop myself?
Yeah. And that's even, I mean, I think that it's been announced already. So I think that we're okay to talk about this. May 27th, Michael Madrox makes his return to commentary.
Yep.
And
in my hometown.
In our hometown. And, you know,
like I posted on Facebook, I want everyone there. This is not only just a wrestling show, it's a celebration of me beating death.
There's a chip on our shoulder and there's motives and there's reasons and there's multiple layers as to why this show is going to be very special, and all of that for my personal stake is thrown out the window because you get to come
I
back
put it
and do
this way,
commentary.
like with the adrenaline and like Dickie said, the
in
motive,
your soul, something Cody Rhodes.
not even Cody Rhodes, man, but like the adrenaline, the motives, the chip, like we're gonna eat that chip that night,
Yeah.
and we're gonna make everyone else eat the chips. Like we're coming out there, and I know for a fact it's probably going to be the best commentary we've ever done, just for that reason.
And that's no knock on commentary that
We've done so far.
I mean, my best commentary was the night that you weren't there. It was me and Colby. It was great. But no, I'm joking. No, so then let me just, formally say this. Thank you to Hybrid Championship Wrestling for giving us that opportunity to be able to do that. I don't know, and like this kind of ties back into what I talked about earlier. Like, I genuinely look at us and like I don't understand what's so appealing about us. I really don't, because like I said, I stumble and mumble my way through pop culture references, and I spent most of one match just talking about Rocky for some reason.
I'm so glad I missed that.
Oh, it was hilarious. But apparently we're doing something right.
Yeah.
So, it's going to be special.
It's very fulfilling knowing that like we're doing something right and we actually have fans from this.
I know.
Like from working, it's a different standpoint than commentary.
Yeah.
Like I could see why people liked us while we worked. Like we both were very psychology and storyline driven.
Still are.
Yeah. But like on commentary, like I wasn't expecting anything, but like the reception we're getting, phenomenal.
I love it. It's great. And that's why I bring up the point earlier, and it wasn't to like disown the other shit, but like how important this podcast, this company was in your road to recovery. Like how you had that forward in your mind.
Yeah, like I'm really looking forward to I was selling tickets to the nurses.
Yeah.
Like that's something.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't it really could have been any company, but the fact that it's our first time home and how long?
For me, 2018. So 5 years.
I think I got out the same time you did.
Yeah.
So yeah. Like that's a big deal for us.
Technically, it was 2019 because I came back to do one show that was a tribute show for Tolerant Zero, but I don't count that because that was a spot show. Ha.
I'd have to get on you. I'm pretty sure it's 2018 because all my problems started in 2019.
Yeah. Yeah, for me, it was definitely 2018. And to say that they weren't leaving on the best of terms is an understatement. So, that's why I say chip on the shoulder or whatever.
I just dropped out.
Yeah, but all that shit, it gets put on the back burner because to me, the most important thing here is that the brother is making it. The brother is kicking this thing's ass, even with half a foot. You're still kicking this thing's ass.
I went from a 13 to a 7 CY.
Exactly. Hey, let's talk about this too real quick, just to get off of here. Guess who became a sneakerhead recently?
Guess who won a $300 and some pair of Jordans the night they had their first surgery and got half their foot chopped off, ironically.
Dude, it's so weird. It's so weird that you're losing feet and you're like, I think I'm going to become a sneakerhead now.
The best dressed prosthetic in the business.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And then it's like reinvigorated my
love for sneakers as well.
You're
welcome.
My sneakerhead tendencies, because I've ordered a couple of pairs recently.
You ordered a second pair?
Kayfabe. But No, I didn't order them. I bought a pair just to have as like everyday shoes.
I remember.
And then I ordered
the Lucky Greens.
Yeah, the Lucky Greens, the Jordan, which I'm hoping that they haven't been shipped to StockX for authentication yet. I'm a little bit worried. Good news is I got them for under retail, so
yeah,
those are trending low. Those are trending pretty low. We're gonna have to have a sneaker podcast at some point. Christ almighty. Well, guys, I am going to leave you with this. I told you this in the update, and I think that it's going to ring true here, and Madrox is here to actually agree with me. I think one thing that we really want to drive home with all of this is tell your people you love them, get a hold of your people, let them know that you have their back, because, you know, I almost lost my best friend, and it sucked, and it was not fun, to say the least. It was very miserable, but he's still alive and, well, not maybe kicking, but
Still a pain in your ass.
Still a pain in my ass, and I get to sit here and record a podski with him, and it means the world to me. So, Madrox, I fucking love you, brother.
I love you, Dickie.
I'm glad to have you here.
I'm not going anywhere, bro. I'm like AIDS.
Exactly. I don't know if you want to make that comparison.
Yes, I'm that comparison.
So.
You can't wipe me out.
All right, guys, we're going to start getting out of here, but there is one little small subject that I really want to touch on here. This is a plea to you guys in a way. I've seen the numbers of the podcast, and I've noticed that our most listened to platform is Spotify, is where we get our most listens. So, to business this up a little bit, if you're listening on Spotify, please, we need the 5-star reviews. We need the recommendations. But most importantly, the 5-star reviews, because that's what's going to help grow this podcast. And
get us noticed.
And get us noticed and get our name out there and more recognition, which at the end of the day is really what we need to grow this podcast. And we have to do it with you guys. We need to do it with you guys. And it takes 2 seconds to review a podcast on Spotify. It don't even need to be Spotify. Just please, your favorite podcast platform. We need the 5-star reviews to be completely transparent. That's what grows. You know, I get annoyed just as everyone else does when people on YouTube are like, be sure to like, subscribe, and that's just the business of it. And it worked. That's what we need. That's what we need to grow. So if you really are fans of us and you want to see us continue to grow, please leave those 5-star reviews. We really need them. That's really all I got. Is there anything else you want to say?
Yeah,
before
I
we
just
get
want
out
to
of
throw
here?
it out there since we handled the whole depression and mental health thing. For the love of God, guys, me and Dickie both are open people. If you're going through something and you need someone to talk to, reach out to us on our personal Facebooks, Instagrams, or even write the page. One of us will get back to you, because we'd rather talk to you than see you suffer.
Yeah, and I mean, we're not professionals in any stretch of the imagination, but sometimes having someone to talk to really helps.
Judgment free too.
And we're very judgment free, you know what I mean? Like we've been there. We understand what it is like to go through this stuff. And if you, to go back on what I said, if you suspect that maybe a friend is going through something, check on your people, get a hold of them and be like, hey brother, let's go get a cup of coffee, or let's go grab a bite to eat, or
it could save someone's life.
It really could. And I think that we are definitely in a place in our lives now where it's so easy to just not be a piece of shit.
It costs $0 to be a decent person.
It costs $0 to just text a friend and say, how are you doing? And it also costs $0 to give us a 5-star review. I'm joking. I'm bringing, again, levity to the situation, you guys. But no, all joking aside, seriously, you need anything, we're here for you.
Oh.
We are the people's company.
We got one more thing to say.
Oh, God, what is it?
First person to listen to this and message the page, keyword Littlefoot, will get a special prize.
As long as that person is not Jesse Hart, because you know it's going to be Jesse Hart.
Yeah, Jesse, you can't win twice in a row, buddy.
He's another one that we really want to get on here. I think that would be a lot of fun. But, all right, guys.
Keyword Littlefoot.
For the man that is currently kicking death's ass in a 3 stages of hell match, Michael Madrox.
We're in an Iron Man match at this point, baby.
You're in an Iron Man match. You're in like a fucking 2-hour Iron Man match.
But anyway, for Michael Madrox, I have been Dickie Wabash, and we will see you guys next time.
Love you.